As I was praying today, as I was worshiping the Lord, I just start to remember all the things that the Lord did for me and literally saved my life in many cases, guys. And I'm just going to share a few things with you all where I just start to, it just came flooding back. Things even before I was thinking about the Lord, how God looked out for me. Guys, I can't tell you. I'm going to start with the first one that I remember. And this one was when I was in the military. I want to say this was my very first duty station. And I was at the time sharing a room with this young lady. And she was a Caucasian female. She was kind of heavy, stocky looking. You know, she wasn't fat, but she looked like strong looking girl. And the first thing I noticed was she always had boys, you know, always had other guys in the room, other soldiers. They'll be on her side of the room and they're just, you know, hanging out. And they would just be hanging out way late into the evening and things like that. And from what I could see, she probably had the room to herself before I got there. And so we had to have that talk, like right off. I told her, I was like, look, I cannot go to sleep with you on this side of the room, men drinking and I'm sleeping. So I told her they have to go after a certain time or you can go with them. So needless to say, we kind of bumped head a bit on that. And we had some other little problems together. And it was just, she still wanted to do what she wanted to do. And I'm telling her, no, you can't do that type of stuff. You know, if I'm going to take a shower, I'm not going to take a shower with some, you know, guys in here. I'm not going to go to bed with a bunch of guys. I mean, she really, literally would have like 3 or 4 guys on her end and they're drinking and whatever. So after I talked to her and we kind of had a confrontation about that, I started noticing that she got really strange, her personality. Let's just put it like that. It was already strange, but she just got really strange. And she was always writing in this book. And she had this little knife and she was always sharpening that knife. It was like, whatever, you know. And so it was, now that I realized it was God that put it in my mind, because she was writing increasingly in this book. I just noticed that about her. And she left to go do something and just popped in my mind to go look and see what she read. And so guys, I looked, and so she had been keeping a journal. And in the journal, she was writing about how, you know, just a bunch of derogatory things she was saying about me. She was also calling me a lot of the N-words, okay? Let's say wigger. I'm using a W, but you put the other letter there, put the N there. She was calling me that. But the thing that stood out, she was saying how much she hates her black ASS N-er, okay? So she hated her black ASS wigger, put the N there, of a roommate. And how she stands over me every night with her knife in her hand, trying to decide if she should slit my throat open or not. So while I'm sleeping, this woman had been coming over, standing over me with this big hunting knife I always saw her sharpening. Standing over me, contemplating whether to slit my throat while I'm asleep. So guys, you know, that was God that was showing me that then. But then, you know, I was like, oh, for real? Word? Okay, let's see who's going to get slit and cut and chopped and diced up in here. So that was my first thing. I went, and there was these other girls. We were in the same area, and I went to them and I showed them, and I was like, yo, all right, bet. Let's see who's going to die today. That was my mindset. And I thank God, you know, my roommates, these other females, they were like, nah, we gotta, you know, they convinced me basically to take it down to, they always had someone that was on duty to CQ, and they caught the MPs and everything. And she actually got arrested. And, you know, of course she was begging me and whatever, but I wasn't trying to hear it, you know. But guys, look at God then. I didn't even know. She's no clue. Guys, I remember being in Germany, and years, you know, this is another duty station. I'm in Germany, and I'm with my son, my oldest son, and we were down. Germany have these wonderful little areas with little shops, cobblestone streets and all of that. And we were just standing looking at this. We were looking in the store window. They had some cute little antique things in there. And my son and I, at the time, he had to be, I don't know, he was young. He was very young. So he's probably like 12. And we're in the window looking at the stuff in the storefront. And we walked away, guys. And in less than 2 seconds after we walked away, we heard this screeching of tires, and we saw this sports car. It looked like, you know, one of those souped up cars that was spinning out of control and went straight through that window that my son and I were standing in. We were standing outside. Guys, if the Holy Spirit, if God had not put it in us to move, we would have been dead. There's no way we would have survived that. It went straight through that window. And I stood there and I just started crying out, just held on to my son. I wasn't thinking about myself. I was thinking about me. I was thinking my baby would have been gone, you know. And guys, I just remember that. And I start to just remember, you know, doing my sin, you know, coming back from some tryst that I went on in the middle of the day, and this truck, it was raining, and it's pouring down raining, guys, and there was this truck that was in. I'm trying to pass the truck. I try not to really pass, but it was just all over. So I try to pass, and then he started turning. Actually, I wasn't passing. I was in the right lane already, but you know, it's one of those trucks that's really long, and so I'm in the left lane, it's in the right lane, and I guess this trucker decides that he's going to just come over in the left lane with no signal, just start coming over. I had nowhere else to go, run me off the road, guys. I went flying, because I'm not going to lie, I was always, you know, I drive fast. I was driving fast then. I slowed down quite a bit now, but I was driving fast, but in the rain and everything, and it was just coming over. The truck was coming over in the left lane. It ran me off the road. It was either that or just get demolished by the truck. And I ran off the road, and I went off into these like tall grass and everything. And guys, I stopped just in time. The car stopped just in time before there was this little sign or something that was there. Guys, if I went any further, that thing would have came right through the windshield and it would have decapitated me. I literally sat there, saw this thing right there that could have killed me. The car stopped right there. I was like in a ditch. But thank God I was able to get out of that. Guys, I just start to remember these things. And I just start to give God praise. I start to give him thanks, because even back then I was doing, you know, I was living my life and doing what I want to do. Yet he had his hedge of protection around me. You know, sometimes, guys, we can look at everything that's going wrong in our life, and we can look at everything that we don't have right now. But I guarantee you that if you just really start to think and just allow yourself to think, you're going to remember these moments that even though you were not even looking for God and seeking him, he was protecting you. He was keeping you. Guys, I know I should have been dead. I should have been gone. I should have been buried. Satan wanted me dead. Satan wanted me in the pits of hell, being tormented by him. And so I just want to encourage you all to just continue to worship the Lord. Continue to give him the highest praise. Continue to just give him thanks, guys. It's so easy to look at what you don't have, but there's a lot of things that God has kept us from. He's a good God. He's a faithful God, even when we're not. And so, guys, I just want to encourage you to do that. I can go on and tell you some other things, but I want to tell you something. When God is closing a door on a relationship, when God is telling you to leave a place, when God is telling you to leave something alone, when you start to discover things back to back about maybe a person, when you start seeing that evil in, you know, maybe your family, in people that you think that you should, people in your ministry, it may be your husband, it may be your wife, or your boyfriend, whoever you're with, when you start to see that God's pulling the covers back, don't fight him. Don't fight him. He sees something. He sees what's coming. He knows the heart of that individual. Guys, there's a lot of people that's been killed, that's been murdered, that's gone missing. Okay? And it's because they did not leave when God told them to leave. They kept going and going and going. When God is trying to keep you from a person who is involved with someone else who's dangerous, or they're doing things in which there will be a mistaken identity. Sometimes you are still in a relationship or in a situation around some people where the judgment of God is coming. Sometimes he's pulling you away from that person that keeps giving you a hard time, because the wrath of God is coming. The judgment of God is coming. Sometimes those demonic spirits, that person that keeps tipping and doing things behind your back and doing all these evil things, those demonic spirits are getting ready to cash in on that person. Something is getting ready to happen. When people do evil, guys, and when they do sin, it draws evil to them. The pestilence, the shadow of death, they have a right to them. So if you keep trying to be in a relationship with this person, God is trying to pull you before that sting operation pop up. You know, when the police do a drug bust, if you at the house, you're going to jail, whether you was just there drinking juice. You just came because they had some of your favorite juice at the house. But if they're doing drugs and stuff in that house, you're going down. So guys, I know I kind of tipped over here in this, but I feel like I need to say this. Give God thanks. Stop cursing God, some of you all. Stop getting an attitude with God. It's going to cost you your soul. Stop talking up to God and saying all these things. You don't have the upper hand with him. He can take your life right now, and you will not like where you're going to go. And you'll be completely separated from him. God has kept you. He woke you up for a reason. So I just want to encourage you all just to think back on your life. Just think of that car accident you had where you survived. You should have been dead. Think about that car that was completely wrecked and you came out with nothing happened to you. Think about that person that tried to kill you and you survived. Think about that person where you were cut up, you were hurt, and you did not die. Think of all the things that could have happened to you, my brothers and sisters. Think of those near misses that you've had. I want you to know that we have more to give God thanks for than to be complaining. My brothers and sisters, this is what I want to share with you all today. Let's give him thanks. Thank him for what he's going to do in our lives in the future. Because no matter what it looks like to us, when we are his, he's got us in the palm of his hand. We're going to be okay. We just have to have that childlike faith and trust him.